You know that smartphone in your pocket? The one you think you know inside and out? Well, it's got a secret, a pretty big one. You could even say it has a ghost.
Yeah, that sound. Every single time you get a notification, you're basically hearing an echo from the past. See, the device you're holding right now, it's not just a chunk of glass and metal. It's haunted. Haunted by an idea, a spirit of innovation that showed up way, way before you think it did.
I mean, we all have this picture in our heads, right? The story of the smartphone kicks off in 2007, with Steve Jobs in his black turtleneck holding up the first iPhone. But what if I told you that's not chapter 1? It's not even close. That's actually the end of a much older and honestly a way more interesting story that almost nobody knows.
Okay, so let's get into it. We're talking about a time 17 years, 17, before the iPhone even existed. There was this super secret company building pretty much the exact same thing. I'm talking a touchscreen, downloadable apps, online shopping. They even had emojis, all the way back in 1990. The company was called General Magic. And yeah, they are the ghost in your phone.
So who on earth were these guys? General Magic was this hush-hush spin-off from Apple. And get this, it was founded by the same geniuses who built the original Macintosh. Their mission, it was huge, almost crazy ambitious for the time. They wanted to create a personal link to the whole world that you could just carry around in your pocket.
But let's talk about the people, because that's what makes this story incredible. These were rebels with a cause. We're talking about Bill Atkinson, Andy Hertzfeld, Mark Porat. These guys were the absolute rock stars of the original Mac team. They felt like Apple was getting too corporate, too buttoned up, so they bailed to chase this wild, radical vision. They really had a cause.
And this really puts it into perspective. Just try to imagine 1990 for a second. The internet, as we know it, it didn't exist. Most people didn't even have an email address. And here are these rebels dreaming up instant messaging, digital stores, and a connected cloud. It was literally science fiction back then. Pure sci-fi.
All right, so now we get to the team they put together. And honestly, this is where the story goes from cool to completely unbelievable. General Magic wasn't just another startup. You could make a serious case that it was the most concentrated collection of pure tech talent ever in one room. It was like a cradle for future giants.
So let me just ask you a question. What do the iPhone, Android, eBay, and Nest all have in common? Think about it. What could possibly connect all of those massive world-changing things? The answer, it's almost too perfect. You couldn't make it up.
Okay, you ready for this? You had Andy Rubin, the guy who created Android. You had Tony Fadell, the father of the iPod, who also went on to create Nest. And then there's Pierre Omidyar, who, get this, was literally writing the code for what would become eBay at his desk at General Magic, probably when he was supposed to be doing something else. Just incredible.
And that's the big reveal. All of these revolutionary ideas, these game-changing products, came from people sitting next to each other in this one single forgotten company. The actual DNA of the tech you use every single day was written right there, inside the walls of General Magic.
And just look at what they actually built. Their operating system was called Magic App. And instead of boring old files and folders, it used this metaphor of rooms. You'd have a desk for your work stuff, a hallway to get to your apps. It was so intuitive. They were talking about the cloud back in 1992. They had their own version of instant messaging. I mean, this wasn't just a small step forward, it was a complete revolution.
So, if these guys were so brilliant, why have most of us never heard of them? Well, this is where the story takes a turn. This is the part where it all starts to fall apart. It was a perfect storm, really. You had betrayal from the outside, and on the inside, they were just too early. It was a beautiful disaster.
So while the magicians are pouring their hearts and souls into creating this device, their old bosses at Apple start to get nervous. The CEO at the time, John Sculley, was worried that if General Magic hit it big, the Macintosh could become obsolete. So what does he do? In what's now a legendary act of corporate betrayal, Apple secretly starts developing its own competing device, the Newton. They basically stole their ideas and their spotlight.
But, betrayal wasn't even their only problem, not by a long shot. When their device, called the Magic Link, finally hit the shelves in 1994, the world just wasn't ready. It failed for three main reasons, really.
Okay, first up, the price tag. It cost $800 back in 1994. In today's money, that's almost $1,600. I mean, come on.
This wasn't a gadget for everyday people. It was a super expensive luxury item that most people couldn't afford and, frankly, couldn't even understand why they'd need it. And yeah, the sales numbers, they tell the whole story. It was a complete commercial catastrophe. They sold a grand total of about 3,000 units. 3,000! To put that into perspective for you, Apple sells that many iPhones every couple of minutes. The dream was absolutely brilliant, but the reality? A total flop. So here's the twist. On paper, General Magic was a total failure. The company officially closed up shop in 2002, but in reality, it was probably one of the most successful failures in the history of tech, because its ghost, its spirit, is what went on to create the world we live in today. Just look at how the idea was reborn. The ideas from General Magic didn't just vanish, they just went to sleep for a while. So 1994, the Magic Link fails. 2002, General Magic shuts down. But then, 2007, the iPhone launches and its DNA is packed with lessons from General Magic. And then, just 1 year later, Android shows up led by another General Magic veteran. The idea was back, but this time, the world was finally ready for it.
I mean, when you really break it down, their lasting impact is just staggering. Their software, it was the blueprint for iOS. The tough lessons they learned from their hardware failing, that directly informed how the iPod was built. The whole concept of an app store, a place to download apps, that was born in their hallways. And of course, the entire Android platform was kickstarted by one of their own.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Because that's the big lesson here. Innovation isn't just about having a great idea. It's about timing. It's about the world being ready for you, having the right networks, the right computer chips, even the right level of public understanding. General Magic had the perfect idea. They were just about a decade too early.
So, yeah, the next time you pick up your phone, just take a second to remember the ghost inside it, the spirit of General Magic. And it really leaves us with one last question to chew on, right? What brilliant idea that seems too early today is going to define all of our lives tomorrow? What beautiful disaster are we all maybe laughing at right now that's just waiting for its moment?